we're going to do something a little different tonight. Let's talk Dead Space. Let's talk the big D S. Okay. First and foremost, like I am not the number one Dead Space fan. I know that for a fact. That is completely cool. But I will tell you, I love this series so much. It is quite possibly one of the top greatest sci-fi horror games that I have ever had the great fortune of playing all the way back in like what 2008 when the first Dead Space came out, and then so on and so forth with 2, 3, and DLCs. I've also I've also played the remake, and I absolutely blown away. I love every bit of it. Do I feel that they're gonna make a Dead Space 2 remake? Jury's still out on this one. I heard they're really trying to push for it. So, anyway, this is gonna be like a short 30 minutes, maybe shorter, I'm not sure, about the lore and the story of the first Dead Space. Um, well, let's just get into it. So, first and foremost, the year is 2508. Okay, we follow a planet cracking mining ship called the USG Ishimura. It is made by the Concordance Extraction Corporation. It is basically just a big fancy mining operation. Um, why did we have to make a giant planet-sized mining ship? Well, because during this time, Earth's fucked. Earth is really bad. Basically, the whole talk of we squandered all of our resources. We squeezed every last bit we could, and we were on the verge of extinction. So, Earth government at the time was like, we need to figure out something or we're all screwed. We're all gone. So that's when the CEC, Concordance Extraction Corporation, said we will create the very first planet cracking mining ship. It's the very first thing. It's the very first of its kind. Now, the USG Ishimura was created in what 2446 and was deployed out. During that time, now they had already started making other mining ships. I can't recall the other planet cracking ships, but the Ishimura has gone on a successful hold on, a successful, man, we're professional here, 35 planet cracking missions. All right, 35 planet cracking missions. Now, what does planet cracking do? The ship will basically fly out in high orbit, out in space, and they will launch these gravitational tethers down onto the planet. Well, first off, the CEC will send a mining colony to land on that planet, make this big ass continent size city that wraps in a circle on a specific chunk of this planet, and they'll mine and mine and mine a little bit. But that's when the Ishimura is supposed to come in, fly over, latch down its gravity tethers, and basically what they call pop the cork. The chunk of planet that they pull off is again continent size. The gravitational force of the planet starts getting wonky because you're literally pulling a piece of this living thing that's not supposed to do what it do. But each planet that they basically survey out is to make sure, hey, there's no life on it, we're cool, or maybe it's on the last ends of its life, and we're just gonna take the resources. So the mining colony of the CEC, as they were mining out good chunks and all the sorry, we're back now to 2508. The mining colony was just, digging up pieces ever so gradually when CEC employees discovered an alien artifact, an old ass alien artifact that they called the marker, the red marker. Now, this red marker is this strange double helix type. Look, that's actually perfect right there, like a double helix statue with crazy symbols going up and down it, and it would glow. Now, amongst the CEC employees that wanted to say, "Hey, listen, we found like an alien artifact. This is really crazy. This is amazing." Um, what is it? A person within the group who was of the church called Unitology basically spread that information back up to brass from his church, and the church basically told him, "Hey, bring that back. We're going to study that for the betterment of religious study." Now, what is Unitology? Now we're going to go into that. Unitology is a fanatic religion created around the marker. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, we just discovered this thing. Why is there already a religion? And people are curious about it. The first marker that we ever discovered was back on Earth. Rewind it back. The year currently is now, let's see, hold on. The year current is now 2214. A man by the name of Michael Altman was a geophysicist investigating strange I can't remember specifically, but I think he was investigating like these rumors of strange sea life out in the Gulf of Mexico, that these people were like, we don't know what type of sea life this is. This is the first we've ever discovered. And so he goes there, and as he dives deeper and deeper and deeper into the submarine, he discovers the first alien artifact, the black marker. Now, after discovering that, he also realizes that the people off from the coasts were also changing. And what do I mean by changing? I mean, they basically, when they would pass away and die, people started spreading rumors like, "No, I'm seeing my dead relatives. They're walking around. There's no explanation. We don't understand." Well, Michael Altman, then being introduced by EarthGov, was basically told, "Hey, listen, we understand this might have some small side effects, but we want to study it because we also understand that there's some power resonating from said marker." Michael Altman wanted to be a whistleblower because as he studied more and more, he was like, "This is not like a divine power of some kind that we can harness for the betterment of mankind. This is an infection. This thing is pumping out something that is causing everyone to lose it." During that time, as he's studying this more, he's gotten attention from other people, yada yada yada. Moving forward, Unitology is created because now they think, "Oh, well, this marker is a divine thing from God, and we need to study its symbols and its sigils because the symbols are talking to us. They're speaking to us." Here is the irony. The very thing he tried to stop was the very thing he died from. The Unitology, I can't remember the story fully. If someone can correct it a little bit, basically they killed him. They got rid of Michael Altman, and they purposefully made him a martyr. He became the first big figurehead for Unitology. So if you ever hear people going like, "Altman be praised, Altman be praised," that is exactly what they're talking about. Now, that's been well over 200 years that's happened. Okay, 200 years since that event. Information is scrambled about how did it come to be, who found it, whatever, what was the purpose of finding it. It's lost. And so now Michael Altman's plan of stopping it has initially caused this big wheel to start spinning. The wheel of basically time humanity has left. Now, you would ask yourself, well, why would you keep something like that is causing all of this? Earth government didn't keep it on Earth. Oh no. They removed it and And as far as we know, it's, let's see, it's currently off-world somewhere in an Earth government bunker. To this day, in Dead Space lore, I don't think it's. I do not think the original Black Marker is anywhere we know of. Now you might find now there are other. Yeah, yeah, no, now there's other Black Markers, but the ones that we found, the one, no, it's off-world somewhere. Earth government's buried that shit. Okay, back to the year. The USG Ishimura, the mining colony. So after spreading it back up to the brass, the Unitology, the Church of Unitology, basically tells them, listen, we understand this is confidential. You need to bring that marker back to Earth. It is a holy relic. We need to study it for the betterment of humankind. Yada yada yada, whatever excuse they may bring. So if you really wanted to do a bigger dive of like what would happen to the Earth colony there, I could give you kind of a brief rundown. Um, the inhabitants of the CEC mining colony started experiencing like hysteria and psychological traumas for some reason. People were getting admitted into the medical ward faster than the medical professionals could try and diagnose what was going on. At first, they thought it was a disease going around causing this. They thought it was like maybe something was in the air. Please wear something. But no, by the time they kind of discovered what it was too late. So many people just started breaking down mentally that it started causing mass homicides. Yes, mass homicides on the mining colony of Aegis 7, the planet that we're on. I apologize if I haven't covered that. The planet that we're talking about, that the USG Ishimura uh, will is going on its 36th mission. On its 36th mission, it goes to a planet called Aegis 7. Now, Aegis 7, funny enough, was banned by Earth government. They said no mining ship should be going anywhere near there. My Ishimura scanned the planet. They sent out a colony there. And who is CEC to deny resources? You know? So yes, they discovered the red marker, heads up to brass. The church says, hey, bring it back, we want it. And this is where we're at currently. Murder on the streets. People are starting to lose it, and people are starting to change. What do I mean? The dead begin rising, but they're not the same. After the people who have died from the mass homicides and or suicides, um, their corpses begin to reanimate. Their bones begin to crack, snap, and shift into places that it really shouldn't be. Their skin slough off. Their eyes roll white. They're moving, and the only thing on this creature's mind is more bodies. And they are horrifying creatures. They are called necromorphs, undead amalgamations of what they don't know, but they begin starting to infect and making more, and now we're CEC or mining colony is overrun. Back on the USG Ishimura, just at the pinnacle of when things were starting to get a little bit shaky, the captain of the ship, called Benjamin Matthias, gets word from the Unitologist saying, listen, other than the rare minerals we found on this continental-sized chunk, we've also found the red marker. Benjamin Matthias was a Unitologist. The captain of the USG Ishimura was a Unitologist. And he was instructed with a mission to bring back the red marker. So, irregardless, if someone were to tell him or not, if they bring that chunk back up to the ship and he found that, the mission still would have been on. A chief scientist, along with Benjamin Mathias, called Terrence Ryan, is a chief science officer um, who was with him, began studying the marker as it was on ship. But of course, they still continued on with their regular mission of gathering the resources from the chunk. Meanwhile, they're now getting little bits of words and communications from planetside saying, hey, listen, we're starting to have some infected cases and possible casualties. We just want to let you know things are a little bit shaky, but continue on with your job. Terrence Ryan starts to see things. He starts getting hallucinations. He starts seeing symbols. He starts hearing voices, and those voices keep repeating and repeating and repeating and repeating. But they're repeating in some language he may not understand, or it's of a voice from somebody in his past. With all of that, he's studying himself and being like, this is coming from the marker. There's the shot. It's coming from the marker. With that, he goes to Benjamin Mathias on the captain's deck while still working and saying, listen, we thought... Oh, which by the by, Terrence Ryan, I think, is also a eulogologist, but he let science basically dictate the rest of its decision. He was like, we cannot bring this back to Earth Gov. We thought it was a holy relic. We thought it was something that it would be for the betterment of mankind. No, this is a disease. This is death. We need to get rid of it. Benjamin Mathias starts losing his shit. Who are you to dictate what we do on this ship? I am the captain, and you will listen to me. And then Benjamin Mathias starts losing it. He starts saying, it's like, you're all in conspiracy, every last one of you. I'm the right person for this job. I was picked out by the church. And he starts spilling beans. With all of that, Terrence Ryan's basically saying, pleading insanity, captain's not fit, we need to take him to medical, put him in the brig or something. So they try to take him, and chief scientist Terrence Ryan tries to give him a sedative to calm his nerves. In the middle of the scuffle, Terrence stabs that injector right in Benjamin Mathias' eye and kills him. Now it's mass hysteria. Oh my god, the captain is dead. What are we going to do? Everything freaks out. By this time, now they're getting a flood of SOS beacons coming from planetside saying, we need to leave, we're evacuating, we're going on the USG Ishimura, we need help. Before all of that happened, they straight up said, no, your planetside is now quarantined. No one's allowed to leave. If you come to our Ishimura, we will shoot you out of orbit. Somebody made it. One guy made it. One guy with his wife made it. And his wife was infected, was dead, and basically led something back to the ship. It takes one of them with the marker signal still pumping out. It takes one. And the Ishimura slowly began its descent. After all of that debacle with the USG Ishimura and PlanetSide, which by the by, PlanetSide is now completely dark. There's no more communication. That is cut off. We're now trying to survive in the Ishimura. By this time, the security team of the Planet Cracker ship is trying to get everybody calm, try to save as many people as they can, and get them on evacuation pods. Because the ideal is, if we can get into evacuation pods enough people and get them out, we're not gonna drift all the way back to Earth, but we can at least have SOS signals for somebody to come pick us up. And it's like, okay. But by then, The red marker had started to slowly turn more and more and more people. And this is the thing of how big the Ishimura is. It had all the commodities you would ever want. This ship was so you could do your job for years. For years. It had recreational facilities. It had your engineering deck. It had your cafe, movie theaters, entertainment. It had the officers' deck, which was really, really fancy. Red line carpet, all of that shit. Had your medical wing. Had your botanical wing, which of course you need oxygen running through the ship. So they dedicated an entire wing of the ship to grow plant life, grow foods, vegetables. It was oh, it's amazing. If I what I would love to do is be like a tour guide on the USG Ishimura. Even when the ships come in and land, they have um, they have like an immigration post where it's like, check your baggages. Did you bring anything off planet by any chance? Okay, please. Oh, liquids no bigger than. Yes, it was really that massive. It's really cool. The Ishimura, the USG Ishimura ship is something that if Legos decided they wanted to make a fucking big ass model of the USG Ishimura ship to build, I would be the first one to buy it. I love that ship. So, sorry if I'm done fangirling about it. Um, but then it was too late. The ship had now gone dark. The security team had all been wiped out, and Benjamin Mathias is dead, and no one knows what happens to Terrence Ryan. Um, Before everything went zero dark, um, a mechanical, but this was even before before the marker was even shown, they were having a communications issue and error, and I think it was just on automatic. You know, part of the ship started rumbling because it was still operating. It's still holding this continent sized chunk in its fucking gravity tethers and still pumping, you know, gas, fuel, and its thrusters just still running. So a mechanics work order was sent out as well as for communications. And in comes in our main protagonist, Isaac Clarke. He is a ship system specialist and engineer who, back on EarthGov, he went to the academy. He studied as hard as he could to really get into systems and engineering. This dude is a smart noodle. Good lord. And quite frankly, one of the toughest sons of bitches in sci fi horror. He answers the call and rides along with technologist and repair communications specialist Kendra Daniels and senior security officer Zach Hammond, along with two other security officers with him, on the USG Kellyan, this little shuttle ship that just sends out. As they enter into the orbit of Aegis 7, all they see is, oh, well, looks like they've already, again, popped the cork. And hopefully the celebration isn't over yet. As they get in closer, they realize that there's no communication back. They keep, you know, they keep ringing the hull, but nobody's talking. It's quite disturbing. So initially, once they get close enough, they realize that the gravitational when the ship is supposed to come in and dock, there's supposedly this gravitational pull that the ship is able to do, but it didn't work. And so something happened with the USG Kellyan, and they start basically crash landing into the USG Ishimura inside the docking bay. And I mean, this bugger flew that fucking ship. Like, oh, okay, blast shields on. We're going in manual. As they get out, Isaac Clarke and the rest of the team sees that everything's too quiet. I mean, the automatic systems of welcome to the USG Ishimura is everything is running, but it's quiet. As they make their way through immigration, Isaac Clarke checks on a terminal to try and make a diagnostics check of like, okay, what's going on with the ship? Man, it's every red light bleeping. There's something going on with the medical. There's something going on with engineering. There's something with botanical, entertainment. He's like, all right, looks like I have my work cut out for me. In that moment, um, hazardous signals goes off, and everything gets on, and everything turns into lockdown. Everyone's kind of on edge right now. Still, remember, to this point, they still haven't seen anybody. Everything's on lockdown, and they two of the security staff get jumped by a single necromorph. This man is impaled, and the other one is just sliced off the way. In the whole debacle and chaos of it, Isaac Clarke makes a run for it, and so does Kendra and Hammond. They end up being separated, and they kind of debrief each other in a moment of like, I don't know what the hell that was. I would never seen anything like that. It's quite terrifying. The best thing that they can do right now is try to at least make their way through the wings of the ship to try and get together, because they realize that is not the only thing running around. With the necromorphs, there's so many of them. And not only that, there's different variants. You have the standard slasher necromorph that stands quite up tall. I mean, I'll put pictures up here and there, and I'll try and do good with editing. I will try. And then you have, uh, golly, you know what? I'm just going to start showing some images right here. You're going to start seeing these different variants, okay? They are terrifying. My most specific, scary one is one that basically hunts you down for a good portion of the story in Dead Space 1. This is where we will now introduce Dr. Let me see here if I can find the name. Let's see. Where in the hooligan is he? Let's see. Dr. Chalice Mercer. He is a doctor stationed on the USG Ishimura and is also a unitologist. After chaos erupts on the ship, he somewhat disappears and kind of hides his way off into the medical bay, where he begins experimenting with the necromorphs. What do I mean? He takes the dead fluids of a necromorph that's supposedly dead, one that's not moving, and he mixes it up with something and he injects it into a living person. What that ends up doing is creates this absolute abomination of a necromorph that is bigger, wider, massive, and can regenerate its limbs. He called it the Hunter. He is fully engrossed in the idea like this is the next stage of evolution for humankind. Who are we to deny? Of course, Isaac Clarke meets him, explains the whole ordeal. Same thing with Chalice Mercer, explaining his whole plan for convergence, which that's where this is now the next bit of the lore. What is the purpose of the markers? The purpose of the markers is for convergence. What is convergence? The idea is to land in a populated area with sentient life, can make extreme mass hysteria with an enormous amount of homicides. The species kills itself off because of the signal that the marker is pumping out. It is a signal. And that same signal, once there is enough dead biomass, regrows the dead, and then they all converge into each other into this weird bio soup, if you could think about it like that. Like eventually the necromorphs make so many dead bodies that they start piling each other on high and just meld and merge and turn into this massive horrendous creature. Isaac Clarke finds Chalice Mercer, beats him, and kills his abomination. the hunter, but having to absolutely disintegrate him, fucking with the back end of a shuttle's jet engine. My goodness, that was scary to try and fight. At least, Chalice Mercer's idea was to basically unleash the Necromorphs back onto Earth. Isaac Clarke stops him and continues on. Oh, there is one character I had completely forgotten to mention, and she is crucial to the story. Before all of this happened, before Isaac Clarke accepted the job, he has a girlfriend named Nicole Brennan, who is the medical specialist in the medic wing of the USG Ishimura. She was stationed on there, and they had a bit of a, I suppose you could say, a bit of a falling out, almost. Like, there was a really bad fight. What you may not know is that Isaac Clarke's parents were part of Unitology. They were such big followers of it, such big fanatics. Oh my God, they paid so many tuitions and monies and fees to the church to be this high ranking whatever member of the church that at one point they were in so much debt. It was unbelievable. That is part of the reason why Isaac Clarke left and went to the academy, so he could get away from all of that. He was so mad. He has such a hatred for Unitology. I do not blame him. Um, then once his parents passed away, the Church of Unitology took their bodies. They didn't even release it to him. So not only did his folks devout to this one religion that didn't really even give him anything, but just took it all, but when they passed away, he couldn't even bury them. He couldn't even bury them. And I think Nicole, I can't recall what specifically, but Isaac Clarke blamed Nicole for it. And that really didn't have a good settling fallout into that. And then she gets on the USG Ishimura, and they kind of reconnect, and they're like, "Hey, I'll be seeing you soon. I hope we can, work this out." Absolutely, baby, we'll work this out. She is on that ship when everything goes down. Nicole Brennan, and she ends up being the one to kind of early on study what the hell is going on. What is happening to these patients. We're getting more people coming in that we can like cure them or basically treat them. And that's where she figures out like these things are regenerating. The cells are still moving after death. I don't understand, but that's where she discovered it. Isaac Clarke ends up reuniting with Nicole, and they come up with a plan together to say we need to get the red marker back. It needs to go back to the planet. We cannot allow any more of the spread or whatever, and so absolutely. Isaac Clarke, during all of this, is like realizing how far the dead biomass has spread through the USG Ishimura, especially through the botanical gardens. It has been so bad that at one point they were trying that at one point the oxygen was being affected. If they didn't do anything, they would have died from suffocation. They found out that a necromorph had formed into basically this kind of like hanger sized fan, like a plane hanger, like a hanger sized fan. We call it the wall of meat. Call it the wall of meat. It was this necromorph that just merged like a fungus onto this fan, and Isaac Clarke fought him by himself. Destroyed the creature, and then, like, here's what's worse, destroyed the creature, and another one was stopping their communication. It was another growth on the side hull of the ship, on the outside, that he also destroyed using the turrets of the USG Shimura. And then that same fucking creature latches back onto the ship for round two. Isaac, you gotta understand, at this point, Isaac's mental state, is like shattering. He's been going through so much, but it's the mission that I have to get me and Nicole out of here that is pushing him forward. Man, there's some scary shit that you've seen that is on the Ishimura, man. But again, it's what makes me fangirl about it. Um, moving forward, after finding out that it's in the cargo bay, the red marker, Isaac Clarke fights his way through a slew of necromorphs, transporting said red marker onto a little shuttle and beaming that sucker back onto the planet. But what's the idea? What's his plan? His plan is to basically take that little shuttle, go back onto the planet side of Aegis 7, onto this colony city, and kind of then transport it back to the same location where they pulled it out of the planet. During all of this, um, senior security officer Zach Hammond kind of also unfurls the idea like, okay, this is a big conspiracy. This is a conspiracy. Um, they wanted to take this marker out. This thing is again, it's a psychological infection. It's a mental infection, and we need to get rid of it. Come to the shock, Kendra Daniels ends up being a U.S. An EarthGov agent, saying, "I was sent here to retrieve that marker. It's coming back to the Earth government, where we are going to study it and all that." Ends up like trying to steal the marker back. Zach Hammond, I forgot to mention, he didn't make it. He ended up fighting in the original 2008 Dead Space, he ends up dying to a necromorph called a brute. This big hulking, if you can remember Left 4 Dead. No, yeah, if Left 4 Dead, yeah, if you can remember Left 4 Dead, the tank. I want you to imagine a tank, but bigger and with chitinous armor. Oh, and looks almost bug-like. It's a very creepy thing. If you look at the body closer to the brute, I think it's called the brute. Yeah, closer to the brute. It's just more bodies that have been molded together to create this massive looking creature. That's what it is. Every necromorph variant has been part of the body that has changed to function in a way that it really shouldn't. And it's oh, the body horror is good. It's great. It's great. It's great. He didn't make it. So Isaac Clarke ending up having to find out that Kendra Daniels is an EarthGov agent sent to bring the marker back. So at the very Plymouth, when Isaac has sent the marker and basically planted it back on planet side, Nicole's there. Nicole's there. And is like, I thought you were waiting at the ship. I thought we were doing this together. And it turns out the big shocker is that Nicole's been dead the whole time. He actually saw the footage of what happened to Nicole, but the marker you see was already affecting his mind. Yeah. No, yeah, there was more to the footage. There was more to the footage of what there was, but Daniels altered the footage. So not only did she alter the footage to only see like a short bit of like this video call that she sent out to be like, everything's falling apart. I can't believe what's happening. You imagine such a little thing or whatever. And she says, she misses you. Hope you're fine. Like, and I'm sorry. Showing the rest of the video footage, Nicole took her own life in the USG Ishimura before everything got worse. Yeah, she took her own life. And the marker took that memory of Nicole and changed Isaac Clarke's whole process. He thought he was doing this for Nicole, but it was the marker the whole time, egging him on to take it back. Now, why did it want to be taken back to the planet? Remember the colony? Remember how the ideal was for convergence? That's where it wanted to go. It knew that on planet side, the CDC mining colony, they were all dead. All those people, all those bodies in this continent like ring of a city, there was plenty of bodies. So as soon as it was back, energy just beamed straight to the sky from the marker, and these bodies just started melding. As Isaac Clarke is now fighting back, he figures the idea of, you know what? Pardon me. He figures the idea of, you know what? The big chunk of planet that's still being hung up by the Ishimura, if I can get its systems to basically let go of the chunk, I'm basically flinging an asteroid to the planet. I'll destroy everything. That's what I'll do. That is exactly what he does. He sets up the sequence and everything, and within a few minutes, he sees the continent-sized chunk of like trillions of tons of rock and boulder just coming down into orbit. So he's like, okay, I gotta get off planet. Just before as he reaches the shuttle, Daniels is there, and of course she's like, I'm sorry, I can't let you leave. There can't be any connection between this and Earth government. But before she even makes it to the shuttle, a massive tentacle comes from this fucking, Grand Canyon size crack in the planet and just slams and just wipes her out. Isaac Clarke is then face to face with a hive queen. The big amalgamation of bodies and biomass has come to life, and it's this massive worm-looking creature. He fights tooth and nail. This is the defining point of Isaac Clarke being like, Tony Toughnuts of sci-fi horror. This guy is like the MVP, and he ain't no superhero. He ain't no Duke Nukem or anything. He's a big nerd. He's an engineer nerd who knew how to use the tools that were around him to survive. And most of his weapons, that's what they were. They were mining tools and surgical tools. But he changed them up to be great weapons for himself. So he combats the queen, the hive queen. And he wins. In the last seconds, he gets in that shuttle and he flies straight off onto Aegis 7, out of Aegis 7, into suborbit and into the out past everything. And he sees the destruction of the planet. It's nuclear. Because an entire continent-sized asteroid just lands on that planet. Everything is basically wiped out. Nothing's left. That is as good as getting rid of shit as you can. Markers gone, creatures gone, all that's gone. And so his thought is just, I'll just drift off and have an SOS beacon. Hopefully someone can come pick me up. But in that last moment, he sees Nicole. And now Nicole is no longer... The facade of what Nicole looks like normal is gone. She looks terrifying. She looks undead. And the way that she's speaking to him, it sounds like the messages from the marker. And the message is always, make us whole. Now, that was as rough of a rendition for Dead Space 1. Like I said, I am not a professional. I just wanted to talk, ramble, whatever, and just, I hope I can make y'all as excited for Dead Space as I did, because now this is not with me. I did not go into full detail of what Isaac Clarke was doing on the ship. I was simply giving the briefest of rundown for what was happening, just in general, you know. So, hey, y'all, thanks for joining me on this spiel of Dead Space, and I will see y'all in the next video. See ya.